Hello, this is Truth Be Told Transformation, and I'm Bonnie Burkert, here to share tools for transformation to live your highest truth. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm looking to transform, and I'm looking at any and all possibilities, but one that really feels very consistent across many, many cultures, many religions, spiritual belief systems, are angels. They may be coming in different forms or name different things, guides, maybe the ancestors. Well, we've invited an expert on today, to the show today, to talk more about this and his experience with angels. And I've referred to it as angel intelligence. And yes, it is a little joke about on AI. This is the AI I'm really interested in. And Christopher Macklin, super excited to talk to you about it.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Bonnie. Bless your heart. It's wonderful
Hi,
to be here.
Christopher,
Yay.
and to you. Namaste. So I can tell already from that initial hello to you that you're from the UK originally, but you live in the States, right?
Yeah, I always try and persuade people I'm from Texas, but no one believes me.
Definitely not.
I
Definitely
don't have the
not.
accent.
No. I mean, the
So,
Texas accent, there's something about that Southern accent, but there's nothing like the British accent. So, how are you?
bless your heart.
Welcome,
Yeah,
welcome.
wonderful.
And I
Oh,
know that
thanks for
you've
having me.
had a chance to talk with Tony Sweet on Truth Be Told. So you are part of our family on the Club Paranormal UBN network. So we're glad to have you back and to specifically talk to me about a different subject. You were known for your work around energy and energy healing, and which is so important. And I'm a huge believer. I was just doing some reading on that, on the how we've really spent technology has advanced in so many fields, but maybe less so in medicine. So I would like to talk to you about energy and how does the angelic realm inform that, Christopher?
Well, it's interesting because I think, my form of healing is quantum, interdimensional, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's very important because, right now, the energy on this planet's pretty kind of troublesome, to say the least, I guess, and we work on about 3,000 people a week, and I'm seeing people, losing it, in tears, especially last Sunday night and Monday. There was a very, what would you call it, kind of sadness, to the whole kind of US, and it was a collective thing. So, there's a lot of energy that's pretty low at the moment. So it's very important, I think, to be tapping into different dimensions. And the dimension I tap into is the alter dimension, and the angelic beings I work with is the Melchizedek beings,
Okay.
and they're from the ultimate dimension. I learned that I was from that dimension when I went to Belize and I was meditating and everything else, and I went to a place called Chaantovich, which is a Mayan temple, very powerful temple actually, and I sat on the top of it. And trying to come off is like, wow, the energy on this thing's incredible. But it blew me wide open. And that night I went back to the hotel and they showed me my past lives. And it was good because you realize what you're meant to be doing now at this time. Most people who are star seeds and, star seeds are volunteers, oh, yeah, I'll come down and do some work. And when they get here, they're, my goodness, this is a crazy place, but you're volunteered, so let's do the work. And
Yeah.
and I think these angelic beings are there to help us, especially with starseed people. Um, but everyone's got guides. Everyone can tap into angelic beings. I mean, I've had vision. Well, it's not visions. I've had them come in my room sometimes. Especially Mother Mary is a Melchizedek being as well, and she's the mother of the Melchizedek beings down here. And there's five of us here doing work. There's lots of Arcturians, Palladians, Atlanteans, Lemurians, different types of starseed people. There's about 1% of the planet, I think, that is starseed people. So, and everyone else has still got, guardian angels or guides, whatever you want to call them.
Hmm. So, yeah, are they one and the same in your opinion? I mean, or is it kind of like all guides are angels, but not all angels are guides or something like that? I mean, could you break it down? Let's like really talk about angels because you have to agree there have been angels in many, many different religions. Religions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is about angels, my definition of angel means, if someone passes, they go to the God realm. and they have their life review, and then they can actually decide to come back and help the people they left behind down here. But are they evolved? It depends on the person. To me, what the angels were talking about are very evolved particular races of beings. Like, for example, Archangel Michael is an evolved Palladian, very, very gifted. So, but everyone's angelic, but I think it depends on the level of knowledge they have and how long they've been doing this thing.
Yeah.
And so, Gabriel, Archangel Michael, all these beings are there to help. And there's also a lot of, races as well. And I think, if you are a Starseed person, and people often say, well, how do I know I'm a Starseed person?
Mm.
You're completely empathic. You take everything to heart. You're hypersensitive. How many times my father says, now stop being so sensitive. It's ridiculous. Well, you can't take sensitivity away, but, you realize that to operate in this world, you have to find a mechanism to keep yourself safe, from these. Because I don't want to change. I don't ever want to be desensitized and, not empathic. What you have to do is you have to learn how to navigate this world with the energies and the people in it.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. And that's why I say tools for transformation. So you're giving some examples of tools that you use and help people to tune in to the possibilities of connecting with their own guides or angels, however we wish to call them. So, Christopher,
Absolutely.
I'd like to go back to your experience in Belize. And because, I mean, I think it's really beautiful that you had the opportunity to visit a sacred site. And I myself have had a chance to travel around the Yucatan, and Belize is just slightly below the Mexican Yucatan Peninsula. And I've also,
Absolutely.
been around quite a few different Mayan ruins there. And I love that. When you were going there, what was the meditation you were doing? Were you trying to connect, or were you simply in neutral and taking in, steeping in the energy of where you were? And then, boom, all of a sudden, a nice surprise.
Well, it's interesting. When I went bankrupt, I learned that, get in a meditative state. But people often ask me, which meditation should I do? I said, none. What you need to do is really get in a meditative state where you can learn to clear your mind. And it's really difficult. People really struggle with it. So you have to try, and people say, oh, I can't do it, I can't do it. You can, look for mechanisms. Like if you want to lie there, let your mind go, these beings will speak to you. The problem is that if you've got lots of mind chatter, you won't even recognize them talking to you. So I learned, when I first started off, if something was on my mind, like I've got to go to the store and buy some chicken or something, whatever it is, I used to write all these things down. Okay, I've got that there. Let's park it there. Let's get it out of my space. Then I could really concentrate on clearing my mind. And that's really just letting everything go, clearing your mind, not even think about anything. And I learned that, when I was traveling around, I've been to India and all over the place doing healings. And, when I was on the plane, sometimes I get in that place where you just, transcendental meditation, where you're out somewhere else. And suddenly they're saying, well, we're coming into land fascism. Well, where did the time go,
Fantastic.
And time slips by. I mean, time's not linear, as we know, but time slips by because you're going elsewhere. And when you come back, you're landing, in Delhi or wherever it is. So yeah, meditation's the first part. And I think also one of the things I'd really say is that, for Starseed people, if you're a Starseed, you don't fit in. You're highly empathic. You don't fit in with the behavior of the average person in the street. I'm not saying we're better or worse than them. It's just that we're different, And I think, therefore, you have to find your starseed family, people who are like-minded, and there's very few who you can actually connect with.
Hmm.
But I think also you have to connect with your starseed lineage. And, people often say, well, they doubt, where am I from? That's too broad a question. Like, where are you from? Well, where is what from? The body, the soul? Well, and, if you say, well, am I Palladian? Well, I've got some Palladian DNA with me. I've got some Arcturian DNA. So you keep getting, well, I'm everything. But where's your soul from? That's the biggest question. Where is my actual soul starseed family? And I learned I've got 84% Melchizedek DNA. So there's a few things about my body that's a bit different, especially the heart. It's actually huge. I had an issue last year,
Oh, wow.
and the surgeons go, "Oh my God, your heart's huge.
Interesting.
It's the size of a volleyball."
Really?
So
Oh,
really
wow.
interesting,
How
but it doesn't matter,
beautiful.
but I think, and also I think once you connect with them, when I went to Belize, I really, really opened me up to the point where I could do some crazy stuff. And I remember one day I was in this, rough hotel, but they had a hammock outdoors, and I asked them because that beings, I'm exhausted. Can you rock me? And so they did. I could feel this light pressure, and I was rocking for about 4 hours. I thought, this is great.
Oh,
The
beautiful.
angelic beings are rocking me. And this woman came out, how did you do that? I said, oh, it's just the Melchizedek beings. They're just helping me out for a few hours.
Oh, there's nurturing.
But they do things. Yeah, it's nurturing. It's all about nurturing.
Okay, so I can you tell me this name? It's a little bit of an unusual name. Melchizedek?
Melchizedek, yeah. It's actually
Okay.
in the Old Testament.
I was
They
wondering.
talk about
Okay.
Lord Melchizedek and things, but they didn't quite put it all in. But the Melchizedek beings were responsible, for example, for the Akashic records down here. When Prime
Oh,
Creator created this third dimensional world, the Melchizedek beings were responsible for putting some instruments in to stop people from changing the time space. So, what does the Akashic records do? Well, it's a record of your life up till now. And so, you've got a timeline up till right now. Now, they knew that eventually people would have time machines where you can go back in time. So, can you change things in the past? And the answer is no, you can't, because, say you go back on your timeline and just take Hitler, for example, 1936. So, you get to 1936, you're observing, like, oh, there's Hitler. From that timeline, can you change anything? The answer is no. Why is that? Because his time has already happened and he's up to the time that you left. You see what I mean? So
yeah.
you can't change somebody else's timeline from your time. You can observe, but not change the timeline. So that stops people from really, really altering the time-space continuum. Because if that happened, we all be in a mess.
It would
So
be a disaster. Yeah.
yeah, it'd be an absolute disaster.
I mean, as much as we
So,
would want to, and I think that's when you hear about, going back in time, people wonder, about something like that being changed. But there's a lot of interesting films out there that sort of suggested, or even if a change was made, the outcome still is the same. So, yeah,
absolutely. Well,
yeah,
the other
yeah.
thing, even in your lifetime, would I want to change the past? I mean, I've been bankrupt. Things have happened to me. They've tried to take me out 290 times up to now. Crazy. Would
Wow.
I want to change that time, this lifetime? The answer is absolutely not. I mean, last year I was talking about some things. Let's just mention a place, the Vatican. I was talking about the Vatican on different things and uh, the truth about it, and they hit me with a low frequency energy weapon. And we know this because the person I work with was hit with the same weapon, and it melts the cusp of the heart valve together. So suddenly I got sick really quickly, and I thought, wow, and I felt as though I was dying. So I went to see them and said, you need open heart surgery because your heart's too big, the valve's too big, and we don't have a valve on the shelf as big, so we're going to have to reduce the hole, put our biggest valve in, and it's open heart surgery. I thought, oh, great, okay. And I was talking to Mother Mary, I said, can we heal it ourselves? Do we have time? She goes, no, you don't. It's going to take about 6 to 8 weeks. You're not going to live that long.
Oh
So
my gosh.
in I go, open heart surgery, and come out, and here we are. We're still here.
And you're great. Oh, thank goodness, Christopher. And I love it. I love your energy. You just feel so happy and well. And I think there's a good point that you're making with this, that as much as, and I'm the first person. I want to believe in natural healing, energy healing, but we do still need the tools that exist in Western. It's a really a
Yeah,
holistic
for
approach.
emergency.
Right, right. It's
Absolutely.
a holistic approach, and I'm sure part of your healing, post surgery healing process definitely pulled in all your years and years of experience and calling upon the angels, and having that prayer for wellness, and asking all of us to
Oh, yeah.
support you in that healing. So I mean, I think that's a really good message that you're giving us. And
Well, you're still using the healing, and even
yeah.
I didn't realize, but my blood pressure shot up about 14 to 16 weeks after it was perfect till then. That's
Okay.
kind of thing, So I asked them because they're being, what's going on? They said, oh, the neutrons, there's neutrons, memory cells in the actual heart that
Oh,
connect to the
wow.
neurons in the
Yeah.
brain. And
Crazy.
so you start messing with your heart and it releases all the trauma about 14 to 6 weeks after. So it was like a
Mhm.
release of trauma. So I had to manage that for a little bit until it settles down. So
Well,
it's understanding if you're going to do healing, it's my belief that you can't just say, well, let's just heal you. It doesn't work like that. I think you really have to understand the cause and effect.
yeah.
For example, like cancers, for example, how does cancer work? Well, it all starts with emotion. And then if you've got pathogens like Epstein-Barr or, herpes simplex or cerebellar zoster, they're all strains of herpes. Where the energy goes, there's a low vibration in that place, and then pathogens start mutating, cells turn into tumor. So if you understand the cause and effect of these things, you can actually resolve them. But it always starts with well, most of the time it starts with emotion.
So often.
So
Yeah, I just was in a big conversation about this yesterday. So yeah, I think it's fascinating
yeah,
and I no and it's what's interesting is that I want to believe and that we're doing the work here, right, Christopher? And somehow that we're keeping the vibration up, 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 up. So consequently, nothing should be happening to us. We're fine. I'm not going to sprain my ankle or, which I had done and is taking forever to get better. So, do you know what I mean? And yet, one of the things I look at is opportunity in illness. What am I learning
oh
from
yeah,
this? How do I have to change my behavior? So I've had to slow it down a little bit, a little calmer, walking a little more slowly. And it's just because I have to walk more slowly on a sore ankle, it's making me in general just calm down, calm down. Because I mean, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to experience on this in this life, and yet at the same time, I think talking about meditation, calm down, and maybe we can find that
yeah.
quiet. Maybe we can hear those messages.
Well, that's the thing. I think the our lives. It's sad because lives, they've changed, and even the new generation, they don't even look at anything. They're just looking at gaming and people, you know, addictive things like, for example, porn. And it's desensitizing people, and it's really sad because it desensitizes for that beautiful human love and if you actually take a step back from this matrix, I mean, we live in we've got 40 acres around this house, and we built the house. The Amish built it, beautiful house, and I'm very grateful for it because we're in the middle of nowhere, and the trees actually surround you, and you just feel like, this is great.
Forest
So,
bathing, right when you step out your door, you're in a forest bath.
yeah, the forest bath, and the thing is about the trees, they do block the external angsty and things energy, and if
Yeah.
if you come back and you think, oh, I feel a bit angsty, the trees absorb it. They're such beautiful beings.
Oh
They're
yes,
amazing.
I've always had plants around me. I used to I work in a high rise apartment or high rise office in New York City, and always had a lot of plants to help
Yeah.
offset everything. The glass and the sort of all the energy of doing business. So it's great to hear your process on a lot of levels and your awareness of all these different
Oh
ways
yeah.
to stay happy and well.
Well, I think right now, I mean, people are struggling. Like I say, I see a lot of people in tears. They don't know what to do with themselves. They feel the collective energy. We do have a prayer for collective energy, void in quotes, map of intent, which really helps because you ground yourself. You say, Dear God, this collective energy is not for me to process right now. So you grab it and I'm going to send it back to you, God, to be transmuted and dispersed in only the way you know how. We thank you, God, send your unconditional love, so be it. Things like that, it's simple things, but I tell you, they're very powerful. People don't realize how powerful they are. They're incredible.
I know, I agree. And
So,
I really like what you were mentioning, at you mentioned that on Sunday you found that a lot of people were very emotional. It was Mother's Day. Do, so I'm just wondering what might, if that was triggering. I know one friend in particular, she didn't want to be on social media. She had lost her mom and she didn't want to be on social media that day. Right? People
yeah, I don't blame.
posting pictures of their moms and things like that. So the collective, it can be very tender. It can be
Mm.
kind of exuberant, like Halloween. Everybody gets really
Yeah.
stoked about that.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
do you know what I mean? But it's interesting, and I do digital marketing for the day job, and so it's interesting to tap into it. And Christopher, I want to comment. You were saying that a lot of sort of this younger generation and some of the proclivities, their online proclivities, but I want to say I also see some pretty positive. I mean, a lot of people are exploring the topics that we're talking about, and they're using these platforms to share some happy stories, and some of it can be really, it could be the full moon, or it could be a dog and a donkey are best friends, and they love, and
Oh
it's all
yeah, it's
these
beautiful.
really amazing stories that are being perpetuated on these platforms, which I'd feel, these younger generations, younger than me, so I don't know if we're talking millennials and younger, they're using these, but I do see positive use as well.
No, I do as well. I mean, I watched a guy on for about an hour on TikTok, and he's feeding the homeless. He's 25, and this is his career. So he goes in the restaurants and
God bless.
okay, guys can have 30 meals, and
Wow.
sometimes they charge him, sometimes they charge him half, sometimes they charge him nothing. But the TikTok people are supporting him, and he pays them, and or not, and then takes them out, and he's literally giving out to homeless, and some of the people from the restaurants come with him. And I thought, what a beautiful thing. It,
That's
it brought
amazing.
tears to my eyes.
I was going to say, I'm
25
getting a
to do
little
that.
misty eyed here as you tell me this story.
Incredible, isn't it?
That's
And his
amazing.
name's Josh. That's a shout out. If you have a look
All
on
right,
TikTok,
Josh, let's find
it's
you. If
beautiful.
you put
Bless his
the
heart.
if you see his TikTok handle, will you put that on our comments on the YouTube show
Absolutely.
here? So, okay, let's go back to Belize. I want to know what that experience is like so that we can help any listeners sort of like, is it a dream or is this a message? How do you make that distinction between things that are coming through? Is it my ego, or is it just my inner voice talking, or is it somehow a different energy frequency that does have a message for us?
I think it's an energy frequency. I think. I mean, when I got heightened vibration, I was sitting on top of it, and in the sky they were showing me things and
Wow.
past lives. And then when I got back to the hotel room, they're literally it's almost like having a 3D TV in your room. It was just there. And they continued showing me this is my past life, this is what happened, showing different times of history. And I was looking at thinking, wow, this is incredible. So it was literally lit up like, a laser type third dimensional TV. It was that profound.
Oh my
And from
gosh.
there, now, to me, it doesn't matter who you are now. Sorry, who you are in the past. It's what you do now that counts. Because people say, well, I was that in the past and this, and who cares?
Hmm. Okay.
Me personally, I think starseed people have, for the last 4,000 years, have come back several times because the planet's changed so drastically. They keep coming back at particular times to experience the change. They experience the change again. And, for right now, this is it. And I think a lot of starseeds, of course, are attacked, including myself, of course, and a lot of people never get out of it. They're attacked both spiritually, like with fallen angels, negative beings who try and just keep them suppressed, so they never really regain their gifts. And sometimes you need a bit of help. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't believe in gurus. I think it's all a pile of nonsense. You are your own guru.
Mm.
I just feel as I'm a facilitator to help people get back to that guru self, like the power and step out in the world and let's do something.
Mm.
But you can't do that if you don't get yourself in, if you don't get rid of your trauma and, get rebalanced. So you do have that energy and passion to get out there and do something.
Yeah. It's great. And I appreciate your point about the guru is you. And yet at the same time, I can think about certain teachers I had that weren't necessarily trying to, be on a pedestal, but they had wisdom that I was lucky enough to hear about. And so I
Oh,
think
yeah.
my what I hear from you on that is really getting people standing in their own power and learning and listening to themselves. And P.S., I've said this before, I'll say it again. Journaling can be a very good tool. Get
Oh,
your
yeah.
pen, get your paper, get a favorite, little notebook or something like that. It doesn't have to have lines on it. You can even draw off the line. You can just go crazy and let it flow. And that could be an interesting way to connect. And I do think it's all part of the slowing down, right, Christopher?
Oh yeah.
It's all part of
Instead
the
of the
slowing
speedy
down.
life, let's take a step back for that matrix, put the brakes on and start enjoying it, because the matrix has taught everyone that you've got to be busy for the sake of being busy, doing not who
Mm.
knows what. You're busy at work, busy at home, got to go to the store, got to go, sometimes you have to just take a step back and say, I need a few days where I could just really, clear my mind and get back to the God realm.
I'll
And
take
I
a
do it
few
a lot.
hours even. That would be,
Oh yeah.
that would be, it's, no, I definitely, so the God realm, I mean, that could look like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Shout out to nature. I love that you described your home and what that could be. But it can also even be sort of the presence, like finding presence. Like maybe you've got a favorite pet and just the joy that that pet brings you. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. To me, I encourage all, the people I work with to, in this day and age, with all the angsty energy, things going on in the world, the separation, all the things, I encourage them to really get within your own bubble, and within that bubble,
Mm.
have the people who really love you and don't berate you and hold you up. And the second thing is, like you say, find things that give you joy, whether it's your dog, your cat, whether it's the growing plants, whatever it
Yeah.
is, if you're doing yoga, every day do something that will give you joy, because I think this world now is teaching us to get back to basics, because stuff, having fancy cars, stuff doesn't matter. To me, it's all about, it's all about the simple things of life.
I feel
And,
that
believe you,
with the experience that you've had, I mean, literally otherworldly contact, understanding, intelligence that comes through you. And you've been working on this for a long time, right, Christopher?
oh
You're,
yeah,
in fact,
yeah.
I'm being very familiar. You are Dr. Macklin, and I just jumped right into Christopher. Um, right.
No, it's fine.
Um,
Christopher's great. Or Chris,
so I appreciate that,
all,
but
all the doctor bit is all blah, blah, blah.
oh, it's no,
So,
it's great. And what is your doctorate in?
it's actually metaphysics.
Okay.
I got it from writing my book, and I studied with a seminary and wrote the book. It's called, gosh, what's it called? I've forgotten. Oh yeah, Divine Healing. The dissolving the enigma of divine healing. It talks about the quantum side and portals and everything else. And I spent about 2 or 3 years developing that, and so we got a doctorate for it. So, but it's
Fantastic.
just a PhD.
I
So
would just. I look forward to exploring that book, though. I mean, because you've done a lot of studies. So, through the years with your studies, I read in your bio that you were very psychic and as a child. So, what was the path that got you to some of these higher dimensions? Because when I mean, I would just say like I had a real awakening around the New Age time in the '80s, and but prior to that, I didn't know any of this language. I didn't know about the fifth dimension, for example. That feels like that's come later in my life.
yeah.
What about you? I mean, did you always know about angels? We're talking about angels. Like, to what extent had you connected with angels before you actually had this experience with your angelic team that you're with now?
Well, it's interesting. It started about four. I mean, when I was born, I think it was a day later. I had 8 strokes, and I was in hospital for a year. And then
Oh
when I was
no.
about 3.5, burnt my back, hospital for a year. So when I came out, I remember being in my bedroom and I saw this like, I was in my bed and I looked at what's that? It's a dinosaur. It was about 10 foot tall, 10 foot seven tall. It was an Anunnaki, I know now, but then I didn't
Oh,
know.
wow.
And I was going, Dad, there's a reptilian thing,
Yeah.
dinosaur in
You
my
thought it was a
room. He comes
dinosaur.
running, where is it? And I realized, oh, we can't see it, and I can see through the veil, and
Okay.
it's amazing. And I could see like craft in the sky. If these flying saucers they can cloak themselves so you can't see them.
Mm.
They can cover themselves with energy. So I could see them. There's a craft right there. Well, I don't see it. And I thought, if I continue on this path, I'm probably going to end up, with some psych meds or something. So I just and
Mm.
left it. I still realized I could see things, but I didn't really pursue it until 2007 when I went bankrupt and life completely changed. I lost everything. I was building houses, I was
Mm.
building apartment blocks, and had a Bentley and different things, and just marriage, everything just collapsed.
Oh my gosh,
And
Christopher, that's
within 14
intense.
days, and I went bankrupt. And so I was living out of the Volkswagen Polo for about 3 or 4 years,
Wow.
kind of homeless, without food. When I went to Belize, without food, 21 days and different times. And what a blessing, because it taught me about stuff. I mean, a Bentley's a bit of fun, especially at the lights, if you play with people, but you don't need it. It's an expensive bit of tin on wheels. We just got a couple of Chevy cars and so blessed. I mean, and just to have a plate of food on the table, I thank God every day, because I've been at times over the last 15 years without food for 21 days, 7 days.
Oh my
I just didn't
gosh.
have any money for food, and that one of the times was actually that time in Belize, no food at all,
Oh my
for 21
gosh.
days. And eventually, it taught me to manifest, because after 21 days, I was absolutely really hungry. My energy was starting to really fall. I just say, okay, dear God, I ground myself, dear God, I command I get some food right now. And I thank you, God, said you, my unconditional love, so be it. Within 15 minutes, the most dodgy person in Belize is looking at us and he said, Christopher, it's 50 Belize dollars. Don't tell anybody, because otherwise I'll lose my street credibility. I said, thank you so much.
Oh my
And that's
gosh.
worth $15 here. And it fed me for 2 weeks. It was
Oh my
just incredible.
gosh.
So,
Well,
and that
there's an
happened within
angel.
15 minutes.
There's an angel showing up right there, right? I
Yeah,
mean, it's
exactly.
interesting, right? Who are these people that
Well, you never
come?
know where things turn up from, and
Right.
I didn't judge him, but he was the wheeling and dealer. One of these people who would try and pull a fast one on somebody. But in
But he
this thing, it
helped
was
you.
like he helped me, and I
And
thought,
yet,
what a blessing.
so there's a lesson in that as well. Don't judge.
Oh, oh
Don't
yeah, exactly. And I
no
was shocked, like,
judgment.
well, thank you very much, bless us all.
Oh my gosh, that is a crazy, crazy story. And I'm just, it's interesting. I wonder what that was. The hardship, the dark night of the soul, right? I mean, I think
Oh
we
yeah, well, I
all.
went through the whole thing with that. I remember being one thing that taught me about and angels and angelic beings is that when I went bankrupt, I was in the south of England, near Worthing, and the sea was there, and I was just there. It was a grey day. I just sat there for 4 hours, bawling my eyes out. I said, "No one cares, I'm here. No one would even know if I passed away, whatever." And then I got over myself, and I decided, but the Melchizedek beings care, and I can talk to them 24/7. And one thing I learned actually is the guides or your angels, if you can actually meditate and connect with them, they're there 24/7. Even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you can talk to them. Because I phoned my brother, oh, sorry, I'm in a meeting. He worked for Royal Dutch Shell and he was in The Hague or whatever. I'll phone you back in half an hour. 2 months later, he phoned me, oh, I forgot to phone you. I said, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. And I
It's nice
realized
of you
that
to
no one
forgive
really
him.
cared.
No,
Oh, yeah, of course I forgive him.
that
I'm
was
not
not.
judging him because people didn't realize what situation I was in. But what was good about it is that it really made me realize that the beings that are there for you is your angelic family. They really are.
Hmm. Wow,
So that
that
was
is.
amazing. And that's what turned my life around, I think. And like I say, I traveled around doing healings and then I came over here and that was it in
It was an
2010.
interesting shift. So it was a shift towards the inwards, and right
Completely.
inwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a shift of raising my vibration, getting rid of trauma, and being able to take my power back. So once it takes a while to get that dark night of the soul turned around. But once it's turned around, there's no going back. I mean, I feel I'm in a place where I would say high vibration. I like you say, I don't judge anybody. All my prayers is like, it's not for us to judge them. Therefore, I always believe in that, and that's kind of Jesus' teachings. I love his teachings, but I'm not a Christian. But I think one of the biggest things I learned is surrender and knowing
Mm.
God's got your back. And so, whatever you do, I mean, 20 years ago, I got a reading, and I went to see this lady, and she was about 84, just outside Liverpool. And so, I sat down and she goes, let's start the reading. Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Wrote all these things down. Thank you. I said, oh. She goes, well, and this was about 2000. She said, well, you're going to move to America. You're going to get a new wife. You're going to live off donations and you do healing for a living. What? And so many people, honestly, so many people, Bonnie, have talked to me about, well, yeah, I've got a gift of painting, but how do you make money out of it? Don't even think about that. Just do it, even if you do it part time, just do it because what will happen is where love flows, money goes. Money's just energy. So you put energy out and you put energy out of your actual work and your talent, which will be very different. I mean, if I did a painting, it would look terrible. They'd say, if I went to an art gallery, get out and don't come back. And I don't blame them. But to an artist, they put so much passion, and that's the thing, finding that thing with burning passion, because it imprints in the canvas their energy, and that's going to go around and go on someone's wall. And people say, "Wow, that's an amazing painting." They're not just seeing, the colours of, the oil colours or whatever. They're seeing the energy around the whole thing, and that makes so much difference. It's the same with food. I mean, I can make food and it tastes great, and I'm not a chef, but I put so much love in it because I love doing it.
Yeah,
But I do need a recipe. I'm not a chef.
I know. All right, everybody. Christopher's open to your recipes. So no, that is. I think that's. I think that's very true. I love that. Do what you love, and the money will follow. And maybe sometimes it isn't even specifically about the money. I mean, sure, we all need to. We need cash to get by, but at the same time, do you need the Bentley? You had the Bentley. You had a Bentley.
Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't now. It's all gone.
I
But
love that. I love that B. I just want the. I like the logo. I like that B. I'm a double
yeah,
B, so I need that Bentley logo. That would be why I'd want one. But no, I understand that very well. So you're in this new life, and that was foretold, and so predestined, and we're glad you're there and helping us all. And Christopher, tell us your website, please, so that people can find you. Is it globalenlightenmentproject.com?
yeah. It's globalenlightenmentproject.com. We do, because I was bankrupt and I had no money, we do twice a week. I do our hour healing, a general group. And we include a lot of things like cancers, things like blood sugar issues, intestinal issues, pancreatic issues, a lot of things like thyroid, hemorrhoids, even, things like that.
Yeah,
No one could spell hemorrhoids, by the
I
way.
know.
They call them piles in England. I always joke with the people,
That's
bless them,
fine.
but it covers almost a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things. And I think twice a week we do that. Thursday 5 p.m. Central Time, Saturday 11 a.m. Central Time, and I cover most things. Everyone gets a healing. It's on social media. It's on Rumble. It's called Divine Healing, or if you go to Global Enlightenment Project, that's also connected to it. You can go on Facebook. We do about I would say about 3,000 healings a week, including that. Then we do specialized groups up to 20 people. Then we do one-to-ones. So, working on a lot of people and, people are struggling right now. The mental health of America has declined a bit. And, I think it's really important to, if you need help, here to help. So,
Yeah, well, very much so, and that's why Tony Sweet and I do the show, is truly to offer a platform for people like you that are out there helping people, because, like you say, there is struggle, and yet we're blessed to have a platform like this, right, to reach people, as are you on Facebook, and the social media. So just to reiterate, everybody, that's twice a week that Christopher's online if you wish to connect with him, and I don't know, receive the blessing, receive that energy work from wherever you are. Right? We don't have to be there in person. We just have to
no,
be
no. I
there
mean,
in
you can go to
intention.
replays. Oh, yeah. And you can go to replays as well, because I always make sure that anyone live or listen in the future, it's activated the healings work so people can, use it and, get benefit from it. It's very important because when you've been without money, where you didn't have money for food, I know well that, the last thing people are going to worry about is paying for healings because they just can't afford it. And so,
Yeah.
so it's very important as a 501(c)(3), which we are, to make sure that everyone gets a healing,
Oh,
no
that's
matter
so
the
beautiful.
situation.
No, that's really great. Any parting words for us here? This has been a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, I would just encourage everyone to find your passion, get in your bubble. I know people are struggling. I see them in tears. And what do I do? I'm going to lose my house. Let's change it around. Just start getting to the gratitude of what you do have. If you've got a plate of food on the table, if you've got a house, you've got a car, you've got a wife, you've got everything, in my opinion. And like I say, I mean the ministry. I'm living proof. I mean, we have about 8 staff. And people have often criticized, well, why do you charge for, one-to-one and specialized groups? And the answer is because if I didn't, I'd be begging on the street for food. So I couldn't have the streaming capabilities I do. So, but money's just an energy and it's an exchange of, what you do, I guess. So yeah, go with your passion. It's so important.
Wow, I love that. Thank you very, very much. And you've heard it from, angels we have heard on high, and follow your passion, right? I mean,
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
is,
Get that burning passion. Because with
right?
that excitement comes energy, and then you do, you go out there and you spread your energy and light to other people. And I think, I think it's our job that, if you see a dark bus with no lights on, if you jump on that bus and switch one light on, you've made a difference. And I think that goes with everybody.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. It was a true pleasure to speak with you. I love
Oh,
hearing
thanks,
about your
Bonnie.
passion and the work you're doing. The Global Enlightenment Project, everybody. This is Dr. Christopher Macklin, and he has free healing events online. So join his community. And I look forward to being there sometime. You can count on me.
Yeah,
Hopefully on
Bonnie.
Thursday. Maybe you can help me with this sore ankle.
Yeah, we could get them in there. They can actually, because it's kind of psychic surgery, because you're in a portal, because that beings can come in and they're in a different dimension. They can walk in your body and then they switch in this dimension a bit, do some work, switch out, and off they leave. So, yeah, it's psychic surgery type stuff. It will really
Cool.
help, I think.
Fascinating. I love it. It's such a true pleasure to speak with you. Thank you kindly.
Oh, thanks, Bonnie. Bless your heart. God bless.
Namaste. Everybody, Truth Be Told Transformation. I'm Bonnie Burkert. Thanks for taking a listen. As you can tell, we're really just trying to find speakers that are walking an illuminated path to help you see that you too can do the same. We got to just keep our energy and our vibrations up as high as we possibly can to deal with all the many changes on this planet. And maybe they're all in divine order. Who knows? But what we got to do is take care of how we're approaching it, right? And how we're approaching each other. So I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to be here. Thank you, Tony Sweet, who you can see on Friday. He has his live show on at 3 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, The Club Paranormal. Club Paranormal, Truth Be Told, if you're looking on YouTube. We are also on all the podcast networks, and you would find us there as Truth Be Told Paranormal. Don't forget, Robert Hensley is also helping us remember to return to the wild and walk on the wild side with Robert Hensley and his episodes also on our Club Paranormal channel. Again, as I do at the end of every show, I encourage you to remember, in this case, the guru's you, and always and forever shine on.